I need you to stay calm. Can you tell me your name? You already pulled my file, Agent Reeves. You know my name. How did you... I need you to listen very carefully. We don't have much time before they hear me talking to you. Who's they? How many? 4, maybe 5. The one at the front, he's got a device. I don't know what's in it. It could be nothing. It could be everything. Where are you on the aircraft right now?
Cockpit. Doors locked from my side. That buys me, I don't know, minutes. Less.
Flight 2247. You're Captain Dana Mercer.
You're catching up.
Captain Mercer, I need your current heading and altitude.
Northeast. 31,000. They haven't touched the controls. Yet.
How many passengers?
112 souls on board. Plus 4 crew.
Any injuries reported?
Not yet. One of them hit a flight attendant, Sarah. She's okay. She's in the back. She's scared. They're all scared. Okay. Captain, I'm going to ask you to do something. And I need you to trust me. That's an interesting word. Trust. I need you to keep them calm. The passengers. Whatever they're doing right now, whatever noise is coming through that door, your voice over the intercom buys us time. You want me to make an announcement?
I want you to tell them it's a precautionary diversion. Mechanical issue. Nothing...
They'll know.
Some will. Most won't. The ones who might cause problems, a calm voice from the cockpit puts them back in their seats.
You've done this before.
Captain, the announcement.
I'm not making the announcement yet. That's not... I said not yet. I need something from you first.
You're not in a position to negotiate conditions right now. Everybody's in a position to negotiate something, Agent Reeves. Everybody. Even me. What do you need? There's a passenger in 14C. I need you to tell me right now that he's okay.
I don't have eyes on the cabin, Captain. I can't...
You have a manifest. You have eyes on this flight that I don't have. 14C. Tell me he's okay.
Give me a name.
You know his name. Reeves. Captain Mercer. I'm going to need you to give me the name of the passenger you're concerned about. His name is Thomas. He boards under Thomas. That's all I know. That's all I was told. Told by whom? Is he okay? We're working to confirm passenger status. Captain, who told you about Thomas? It's not what matters right now. It matters to me. I bet it does. Sorry, hold on. Fragments. Muffled, away from the receiver. No, I'm running through the checklist. Standard protocol. Yes, I understand. I've got maybe 90 seconds before he checks on me again. Who just spoke to you? The one in charge. He cycles through every 2 minutes. Sometimes less. Does he have a name? Does he use a name? They don't use names. Describe him. 6 foot. Maybe more. Dark jacket. He moves like someone who's done this before. He's not nervous. Agent Reeves, the ones who are nervous I can work with. He is not nervous.
Understood. Captain, I need you to tell me your fuel state.
Enough. Enough to make it wherever they want to go.
And where is that?
They haven't said.
They haven't given you a destination.
Not yet.
And they haven't attempted to alter your heading.
No, which means they don't need to. Which means wherever we're going, we're already going there. Walk me through your current route. We filed for Denver. Standard corridor. But they boarded in Chicago, and they... Look, the geometry of this doesn't work unless the destination was always somewhere we'd pass over. Not land at. Pass over.
Tom is in seat 14C.
Say that again.
The manifest has a Thomas R. Seat 14C? He checked in under... Captain? How do you know that name?
Is he okay?
Answer me first.
I can't answer that right now. Is he okay? Yes or no?
As of last ground contact, he was... Yes, he was okay. Captain,
Good.
how do you know that passenger?
I don't.
You just asked me to confirm a specific passenger by first name before I gave you any names from the manifest. You don't do that unless...
I heard someone mention it. In the cabin, before we took off. Look, it doesn't...
Mercer?
It doesn't matter. What matters is the device at the front and whether your tactical people have a play that doesn't end with 112 people.
Do not move this conversation until you tell me how you know that name.
You're burning time.
So are you.
I know that name because it was given to me. Before the flight. Someone told me to watch for it on the manifest.
Who?
I don't know who. That's the truth. A message. Through a channel. It doesn't matter how. The message said, watch for Thomas in 14C and make sure the flight goes ahead as scheduled. Make sure it goes ahead. Yes. Meaning you knew. Before Wheels Up. I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know what. I didn't know... this. I thought it was cargo. Something in the hold. I thought they wanted the plane in the air, not this. But you took off anyway?
Yes.
With 112 people. I took off because I was told that if I didn't, Thomas in 14C would not make it to Denver. Those were the words. Would not make it. So you protected one passenger by putting every other passenger at risk. I protected? Yes, that's what I did. Go ahead, say it however you need to say it. I'm not judging the decision right now. I need to understand the full picture.
The full picture is I have 4 men on this aircraft who are calmer than anyone with a device should ever be. I have a passenger in 14C who someone once kept alive badly enough to use me to do it. And I have you on the phone telling me to make a PA announcement about a mechanical issue.
Who sent the message, Mercer?
I told you I don't... Oh. Reeves, you took off on a message from an anonymous source. You gambled. 112 people. You don't do that for a stranger. You do that for someone you owe, or someone you fear. Which is it? Mercer?
Both. If you have to know. Both.
Talk to me.
That's all you're getting right now. Both. Figure out the rest on your end.
We can figure it out together, or I can pull every contact you've had in the last...
Pull whatever you want. You won't find it in time.
In time for what? In time for whatever they're planning to happen. What are they planning? I don't know. Best guess. I don't guess at 31,000 feet. Mercer. Hold on. Still running. Yes. Fuel's fine. No, I haven't. No. I understand. 2 minutes. He's getting impatient with the cycle time. I think they expected contact from the ground by now. What kind of contact? Oh, I don't know. But he keeps checking his phone, and whatever he's waiting for hasn't come through. His phone has signal at altitude? They've got a device. Some kind of booster. One of them had it in a case. I saw it when they came through the cockpit at the start. Before I locked the door. They came through the cockpit before the door was locked? Standard pre-flight check. They had credentials. Ground crew credentials. They walked through, they checked something in the avionics bay, or pretended to, and one of them looked at me and said, and I'm giving you his exact words, "The boy in 14C gets home if you do exactly what you're told."
The boy.
Yes.
Thomas is... The manifest has him at... Mercer, Thomas is 17 years old.
I know.
You know.
The message said minor. Unaccompanied minor.
I made sure he boarded. I watched the gate myself.
Why? Why does a 17-year-old on a flight to Denver require... Who is this kid, Mercer? What does he have to do with any of this?
I think you know the answer to that better than I do, Agent Reeves.
I'm asking you! And I'm telling you to look at the name on that manifest again. The full name. Not just Thomas. That's not... There it is.
How long have you known?
Known what, specifically? Be precise. We're running out of time for me to answer questions you already know the answers to.
How long have you known who he is to me?
Long enough.
That's not...
Since before the message. Since before any of this. I knew who he was when they gave me his seat number. I recognized the name.
You telling me this was... They picked you specifically. They put you on this flight because you know what that name meant.
Someone picked me. Specifically. Yes. I don't know if it was the 4 men on this aircraft or someone further back, but yes, I was chosen. And so were you. Whoever made the call to route this to your desk, that wasn't random either.
Stop. Just stop for a second.
We don't have a second.
I said stop. I need you to... I need 30 seconds.
Take them. But if he cycles before you're done, I'm gone for 2 minutes.
Okay. The boy is not... He's not your leverage. You understand me? Whatever they told you about him, whatever they're using him for, he is not the asset here. He's the distraction. I know he's the distraction. Then what is the asset? Now we're getting somewhere. Mercer. The asset is in the hold. 40 meters below where your son is sitting. I told you, we're past the soft language. What is in the hold?
I don't know exactly. A case. A specific case. Black, standard airline dimensions, tagged as medical equipment. It cleared security at O'Hare on a federal exemption.
A federal exemption.
Whoever is running this, they're not running it from outside the system. They are the system. Or they were.
What's in the case?
I said I don't know exactly.
Best guess. You said you don't guess at altitude. Guess anyway.
Something that can't go through a scanner. Something that a federal exemption is the only way to move. Something they need delivered somewhere specific while it's still viable.
Biological.
That's your word.
Is that your word too?
It's the word that makes the most sense given everything else.
And the device at the front of the aircraft.
Insurance. If the case doesn't get where it's going, the device makes sure nobody talks about what was on this flight.
Including the pilot.
I told you, I didn't know it was going to be this. But you know now, and you're still on the phone with me instead of opening that cockpit door, which means what? Which means you think you can still control this. Which means you have something they don't know you have. You were always the sharp one, Reeves. Don't do that. It's a compliment.
It's not. It's a tell. You've been running this call exactly as long as you needed to, and now you're... Mercer, what do you have?
I have the door code for the hold. The hold is accessible from the cockpit. Emergency access panel, behind the co-pilot seat. They don't know it exists. They check the avionics bay, they check the instrument panels, they didn't check there. And the case. If I can get into the hold and move the case before they know what's happening. Move it where? You're at 31,000 feet. You can't... I can put it somewhere on this aircraft where it cannot be retrieved without landing, without customs, without... That doesn't help the passengers. That doesn't help Tom. It takes the asset off the board. If the case is neutralized, whatever they're doing ends here. Your tactical people get a plane with 4 men and a device and no leverage. That's a different equation. It's a suicide play. Maybe. Mercer.
I said maybe.
Walk me back. All the way back. You said you knew the name before the message, before any of this.
Yes.
How?
That's a long conversation.
Compress it.
I can't compress it into something that makes sense in the time we have.
Try.
Reeves.
I swear to God, Mercer, if you deflect one more...
7 years ago. Chicago. A hotel bar off Michigan Avenue. You were there. I was there. We talked for, 2 hours. Maybe 3. I'm not...
You were coming off a case. A bad one. He didn't say what it was. You had 2 drinks, and then you switched to water. And you told me about your kid. He said his name once. He said he was 10. He said he wanted to be a pilot.
I don't remember you.
I know you don't. I was nobody to you. I was just someone at the bar. But you were not nobody to me. You were the reason I got back in the cockpit.
What does that mean?
I'd been grounded. Medical. 18 months. I was done. I was sitting in that bar because I decided I was done. And you sat down, and you talked, and you didn't know any of that. And you said flying was the only job where the whole point was getting everyone home.
Stop.
That's what you said.
I said stop.
And 3 months later, I passed my medical review and I was back in a cockpit. And I have been back in a cockpit for 7 years because of a conversation you don't remember having.
Why are you telling me this right now?
Because you asked how I knew his name.
That doesn't explain... Mercer, that doesn't explain why you're on this aircraft. Why you, specifically, are on this aircraft.
No. It explains why I said yes when they came to me.
They came to you? 3 weeks ago. 2 men. Not the 4 on the plane. Different men. They knew about my medical history. They knew about the grounding. They knew things that aren't in any file I know of. And they told me they needed a pilot on Flight 2247. And they told me the boy in 14C would not survive the week if I didn't cooperate. And you believed them. They showed me a photograph of Tom.
Of Tom, outside his school, time-stamped 3 days before they came to see me, and another one from the day before, and another from that morning. They'd been watching him for at least a week before they ever knocked on my door. So yes, I believed them. Why didn't you come to us? Why didn't you... Mercer, you had 3 weeks. 3 weeks to flag this to someone,
To who? You just told me whoever is running this is inside the system. I had 3 weeks and a photograph of a 17-year-old outside his school and no idea who to trust. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't find the right door to knock on. I looked. I couldn't find it.
You should have found it.
Yes, I should have. And here we are.
Here we are. The 2 men who came to you. Describe them.
One was tall, older, gray at the temples. He did all the talking. The other one stood by the door. Didn't speak once. Not once in 40 minutes.
Accent.
The talker? Faint. Eastern European, maybe. Or trained out of one. The kind of accent that used to be stronger.
And they knew your medical history?
Down to the specific diagnosis. The specific doctor. The specific week I was grounded.
That level of access is not commercial. That's not a hack. That's someone with clearance pulling physical files. Yes. Which means this goes... Mercer, this goes significantly higher than 4 men on an aircraft.
I know.
Which means my tactical team on the ground may already be compromised.
Yes. I've been assuming that since Wheels Up.
Then why are you still talking to me?
Because I don't think you are. You don't think I'm compromised. No. Based on what? Based on a conversation in a bar 7 years ago that I don't even... Based on the fact that you have a son on this plane, and you haven't pulled this call off the record yet. A compromised agent would have gone dark the second they heard that name. You're still on an open line. That means you're either very stupid or very clean. And I don't think you're stupid. That's not a methodology. That's a feeling.
Yes, it is. I'm 40 minutes from wherever this is going, and a feeling is what I've got.
Okay, listen to me. If the tactical team is compromised, I need to route around them. I need a back channel and I need time. How much time can you buy me?
Depends on what he finds when he cycles through.
How long until the next cycle?
40 seconds. Maybe less.
After that?
2 minutes. If he stays consistent.
I need 20. Can you buy me 20 minutes?
I can try to buy you 10.
10 isn't...
10 is what I have. Make it work.
How? How do you buy 10 minutes?
I tell him the altimeter is giving false readings, that I need to run a manual diagnostic. He doesn't know enough about avionics to question it, but he knows enough to know a bad altimeter is a problem. That buys me the diagnostic window.
How long is a diagnostic window?
On paper, 20 minutes. He'll give me 10 before he starts pushing.
Do it.
Not yet.
Mercer.
I said not yet. First you tell me something. We don't have... First, you tell me something.
What?
The case in the hold. The federal exemption. You knew about it before I told you. Don't run the denial. I heard it in your voice when I said federal exemption. You already knew there was something on this flight that shouldn't be. I can't... That's not something I can...
You routed to my line personally. You were on this call before I even picked up. That means you were already watching this flight. Which means you knew something was wrong before the hijacking was reported. Mercer, how long have you been watching Flight 2247? 72 hours. 72 hours? We had intelligence. Incomplete. We didn't know the vector, we didn't know the... We knew something was in motion, and we knew this flight was a node in it. We didn't know the pilot was what?
Was inside it. Inside it? That's a generous reading of my situation, Agent Reeves.
What would you call it?
I'd call it cornered. I'd call it... They found the one thing I couldn't say no to, and they put it in seat 14C, and they told me to fly. And you flew. And I flew. Yes, I flew because the alternative was your son dead in a parking lot outside his school, and I couldn't make that the thing I chose. Even for 112 people, I couldn't make that the thing I chose. So here we are. And I'm sorry. I am genuinely sorry. But I need you to tell me right now what you know about what's in that case.
If I tell you...
If you tell me I have a better chance of neutralizing it before this ends badly for everyone on this aircraft, including the one in 14C.
The case contains... It's a biological sample. Cultured. Stable at altitude, but it has there's a viability window. It needs to be delivered within what? 6 hours of wheels down. After 6 hours, the culture degrades and it's inert. How long since we landed? Wheels up was 4 hours, 12 minutes ago. Mercer, you're already inside the window. If they land this aircraft in the next 2 hours, then whatever is in that case walks off into the world. Yes.
And if the aircraft doesn't land, then the window closes and the sample is inert, and this whole operation falls apart. Which is why the device at the front of the aircraft isn't just insurance. No. It's the contingency. If the landing is compromised, if tactical moves on the aircraft before it reaches the destination, they detonate and the sample never reaches customs, never gets tested, never gets traced. Yes. So the only play that saves the passengers and kills the operation is one where the aircraft lands and the case never makes it off. Or one where the aircraft never lands.
Say that again?
If the aircraft circles,
holds altitude past the 6-hour window. The sample degrades. The operation ends. The device becomes... They have no reason to detonate if the asset is gone.
They have 4 men on this aircraft who will absolutely detonate if they realize what's happening.
Not if they don't know the sample is gone.
How do they not know?
Because you tell them the altimeter issue is more serious than you thought. You tell them you need to hold altitude and circle while you run emergency diagnostics. You buy not 10 minutes. You buy 2 hours. They will not wait 2 hours. You said the leader is waiting for contact that hasn't come. We control what contact he gets. We feed him something that keeps him waiting. You can spoof his communications? We can try.
Try isn't... I know.
Reeves, try isn't good enough up here.
I know. I know that. But it's what I have. It's the same thing you have. A feeling and a play that might work.
Getting everyone home.
What?
That's what you said. 7 years ago. Flying is the only job where the whole point is getting everyone home.
Mercer.
Okay, I'll hold altitude. I'll run the diagnostic play. But Reeves, if this goes wrong, if they figure it out before the window closes.
It won't.
If it does...
Tom is in 14C. It won't go wrong.
That's not a methodology. That's a feeling.
Yes, it is.
How long do you need to set up the spoof?
15 minutes. Maybe 12 if I route around the tactical channel.
You have 8. After that, he cycles, and I have to be in the middle of the diagnostic, or he pulls me out of the cockpit.
It is tight.
8 is what exists.
Okay, I'm moving. Stay on the line.
I'm not going anywhere.
Muffled, Reeves away from his own receiver. Fragments of a second conversation, clipped and urgent. Too low to parse.
Reeves.
No answer. Typing. Movement.
Reeves, I need you on the line.
I'm here. I'm routing through a secondary. Give me 4 more minutes.
I don't have 4 more.
Mercer. He's early. He's cycling early. Hold on.
Away from receiver.
Diagnostic flagged at 31.2. Altimeter variance. I'm running the manual check now. Yes, I know. I understand the timeline. Yes, I understand. He bought it. Barely. He's standing outside the cockpit door now. I can hear him through the panel. Can he hear you? Not if I keep my voice down. But I've got maybe 6 minutes before he decides the diagnostic is taking too long.
The spoof is I've got a secondary channel, but I need an identifier. Something on his device. A number, a handle, anything he's used to make contact before.
I don't have that.
The booster unit they brought on. Does it have a visible serial or a frequency display?
I'd have to leave the cockpit to check it.
Can you? Not without walking past him. Is there any other way into the cabin from the cockpit?
The hold access, but that puts me in the hold, not the cabin. Reeves, the booster. Where was it when you last saw it?
Row 2. Overhead bin, port side.
Row 2 is how far from the cockpit door?
4 meters, maybe 5.
If he moves to the back of the aircraft for any reason...
He won't. He's not moving. I can still hear him.
Okay. Without the identifier, the spoof is... It's a broadcast. Wide. It might not hit his specific device.
What's the probability it does?
I don't know.
Estimate.
60? Maybe 65?
That's not...
I know what it's not. 65% is a coin flip with worse odds, Reeves. I have 112.
I know what you have. I know exactly what you have on that aircraft. Don't!
Sorry. Don't apologize either.
Then tell me what 65% looks like if it doesn't work.
If the spoof misses his device, he gets nothing. He's still waiting. That buys us time, but not the right kind. He gets suspicious before the window closes.
And if the spoof hits his device with the wrong content, then he knows someone is in his communications, and the device at the front of the aircraft becomes very relevant very quickly. So 65% is actually It's a three-way split. It works, it does nothing, or it gets everyone on this plane killed. Technically, yes. Technically. What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me there's another play. There isn't another play. Not from the ground. Then it has to come from up here. Mercer! The hold access. If I can get into the hold, I can move the case. I told you. I can put it somewhere it can't be retrieved without a full customs inspection.
And if he cycles while you're in the hold?
Then the cockpit is empty, and he knows something is wrong.
Which is the same outcome as the spoof going wrong.
Except in one version, I've already moved the case. The asset is already off the board. And you're in the hold, with no way back to the cockpit, and 4 men between you and any exit.
Yes.
Mercer, that's a one-way play.
Most of the good ones are.
I'm not authorizing that.
You can't authorize or not authorize anything up here. You know that.
I'm asking you not to do it. Why?
Because I need you on the line. I need you in that cockpit. If the spoof works and he gets the message and settles, I need a pilot who can hold altitude for 2 hours and then negotiate a landing sequence that keeps my tactical team, whatever's left of my tactical team, in position. I need you alive and in that seat. That's a very procedural reason. Yes. Is it the real one? Reeves. You sat in a bar in Chicago and you talked to me for 3 hours and I don't remember you. I don't remember your face or your name or anything you said to me, and you took off with my son on your aircraft because of something I said that I can't even recall saying, and now you're telling me you're going to go into a cargo hold and not come back out? And I'm asking you not to. I'm asking you. That's all I have. I'm asking you. Reeves. Don't say whatever you're about to say. I was gonna say run the spoof.
What?
Run it! 65%. Run it now before he cycles again. If it works, we hold altitude and we get everyone home. If it does nothing, we still have time. If it goes wrong, then I go into the hold. But try the 65 first. You said it yourself. It's what you have. Here. Okay, running it now. Stay on the line.
Always.
Sent. Wide broadcast. If his device is on the frequency, it should hit in under 90 seconds. What did you send? A hold message. From the contact he's been waiting for. Saying the ground operation is delayed. Requesting the aircraft maintain position pending confirmation. In his language. We have templates from previous intercepts on operations with similar signatures. It's as close as I could get in 8 minutes.
Previous intercepts. This isn't the first time this network has moved something. No. How many times? This isn't the time. How many times have they moved something on a commercial flight? Twice, that we know of. Both times the asset arrived. Both times we were 12 hours behind. And both times you were watching and they still got through. Yes. And Tom was... How long has Tom been... Don't... How long has your son been on their radar, Reeves? I don't know. Since before 3 weeks ago. Since before they came to me. Which means they've been building this for longer than 3 weeks. They chose the flight, they chose the case, they chose me. They put Tom on the manifest and they waited. This is not an operation. This is a trap. And we are both very neatly inside it. I know. You know? I've known since you said his name. Yes, I know. And you're still running the play. What else do I do? What else does anyone do? He's moving. The leader. He's moving away from the cockpit door. Toward the back of the aircraft. The spoof hit. Maybe. Or he's doing something else. I can't.
can hear footsteps. He's moving toward the rear. If the spoof hit, he'll want privacy to respond. Move away from the other passengers. Well, he's going to the rear because something else just changed.
Reeves, can you hear anything? Voices? Anything from the cabin?
It's quiet. The passengers are quiet. That's either very good or very... Don't finish that. Row 2? If he's at the rear of the aircraft, row 2 is clear. The booster unit is clear. Mercer, do not open that cockpit door. If I can get the serial off the booster, you can run a targeted spoof. Not 65%. 90. Maybe more. And if he comes back before you're back inside,
Then the 65% play is still on the table. Nothing changes.
Everything changes if he sees you outside that cockpit.
He won't see me. 4 meters, 5 seconds, in and out.
Mercer,
I'm looking through the door panel right now. Row 2 is clear. He's at least 8 rows back. Do not open that door. The serial will be on the underside of the unit. I've seen the model before. 10 digits, top left corner of the base panel.
I'm ordering you to stay in that cockpit.
you can't order me to do anything. You said so yourself.
That I'm asking. I'm asking again.
I know. I'm sorry, Reeves. I'm sorry about the bar. I'm sorry about the flight. I'm sorry I didn't find the right door.
Don't. Mercer, don't make this a...
Write it down. 10 digits. Top left corner.
Mercer. 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 Talk to me. Are you in the cabin? Mercer, I need you to respond.
I'm at row 2. He's still at the back. I can see him. He's on the device. The spoof hit. He's reading something. He's not moving. Give me 10 seconds. Get back in the cockpit. Get back in right now. If the spoof hit, we have the time we need. You don't have to... 9 digits. I need one more. Mercer? Got it. Back now. I'm in. Door's locked. He didn't see me. You... Okay. Read me the serial.
774 Romeo Niner 2 Foxtrot 3.
Say again from Romeo.
Romeo Niner 2 Foxtrot 3.
Got it. Running the targeted match now. If this hits the right frequency, we can push a second message directly to his unit. Something that holds him another 90 minutes. That gets you past the viability window.
How long to run the match?
4 minutes. Maybe 3. He's coming back up the aisle. He's stopped. He's looking at something on his phone again. Good. That's good. That means the first message is still holding him. He doesn't look held. He looks like he's making a decision. What kind of decision? The kind where someone's face goes very still. I've seen that face before. On approach, when a pilot decides the runway isn't long enough and they're going anyway. He's not... Mercer, if the spoof is holding, he has no reason to...
Something changed on his end. Something we didn't account for. He knows something is different. What could he know? We haven't made a move. Tactical is standing down. I pulled them back the second you told me the team might be compromised. There's been no external signal, no... The viability window.
What?
He knows how long we've been in the air. He can do the same math I can. If this operation has a 2-hour delivery window after landing, and he's been in the air 4 hours and counting, he knows the window is closing. He doesn't need us to make a move. The clock made the move for us.
Then we're... Mercer, the targeted spoof. If I can get the second message to his device in the next 2 minutes, it resets his clock. It tells him the delivery window has been extended, that the ground team has prepared for the delay. It buys the time we need. 2 minutes. Maybe less. He's at row 4 now. He's moving slowly. He's looking at the cockpit door. Don't engage. Don't open the intercom. Don't respond to anything he does. Stay dark. I know how to stay dark.
Reeves, I know you do. I know. 2 minutes, Mercer. He stopped again. Row 3, he's standing there looking at the door. Reeves, if this doesn't work in the next 90 seconds, I'm going into the hold. No, we have time. I'm not asking. I'm telling you what happens next if the spoof doesn't land. So you're not surprised, so you know. Mercer, I move the case. I secure it somewhere in the hold that requires a full inspection team to access. The asset goes inert. The operation ends, and then whatever happens to me, happens to me.
Nothing happens to you. We are not doing that play.
The alternative is letting whatever is in that case walk off this aircraft and into the world. And I did not take off with 112 people and your son so that I could watch that happen from a cockpit. You took off because they made you. You took off because they gave you no... I chose. I keep saying that and you keep not hearing it. I chose. Whatever they put in front of me, I made the choice. And this is the next one, and I'm making it clear to you before I make it so that you understand. I understand. I understand, and I'm telling you there is still time for the spoofed... He's reaching for the cockpit door handle. It's locked. He can't... He's got a bypass tool. I can see it. He had it in his jacket the whole time. He was always going to come through this door. The diagnostic play, the spoof, it bought us time, but it was never going to stop this moment.
Mercer, listen to me. The second message is, I'm pushing it now. Right now. His device should receive in 40 seconds. If he gets it before he gets that door open...
40 seconds is a long time with a bypass tool.
I know. Stay on the line. Stay on the line with me.
I'm here.
Talk to me. Tell me what he's doing.
He's working the handle. He's good at it. Professional. He's done this before, too.
The message is sent. It's in the air. His device needs to ping the relay and...
He stopped.
He stopped.
He's looking at his phone. Yes, he's reading something. He stepped back from the door.
It hit.
It hit.
He's moving away from the door.
Slowly. He's moving slowly. He keeps looking at the phone, and then at the door, and then at the phone. He doesn't fully believe it. He doesn't have to fully believe it. He has to believe it enough to wait. That's all. Another 90 minutes. The window closes, the sample degrades, and this ends. 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Can you hold altitude for 90 minutes? I can hold altitude all day. That's the easy part. Good. Then that's what we do. You hold, I rebuild the tactical channel with people I can verify. And when the window closes, we bring this aircraft down clean.
And the 4 men on board?
They'll know by then that the asset is gone. Without the asset, the operation is finished. Most operators in that position take the exit they're offered.
And the one who doesn't?
Then we deal with that on the ground. On our terms. Not theirs.
On our terms.
Yes. You really don't remember the bar.
No. I've been trying while we've been talking. I can't place it.
Michigan Avenue, October. You were wearing a gray jacket and you had a bureau lanyard you kept turning over in your hand like you wanted to take it off.
A lot of nights looked like that back then. You ordered the same drink twice by accident, and when the bartender pointed it out, you laughed. Actually laughed. And you said you hadn't laughed in about 4 months, and you'd forgotten what it felt like.
I said that?
Yes.
I believe you. I just don't remember it.
I know.
It's okay. It was enough that I did. What case was I coming off? Do you know?
You didn't say. But you had the look of someone who'd been somewhere they couldn't talk about and couldn't stop thinking about. I recognized it. I'd had it myself for 18 months.
And I sat down next to a stranger and talked.
You sat down next to a stranger and talked. Yes, I do that. I do that. My wife used to say I'd confess to anyone who'd listen as long as they weren't someone I knew. She sounds smart. She was. She was very smart.
I'm sorry. Long time ago. Still. Yeah. Still. Reeves.
Yeah.
78 minutes. I can give you exactly 78 minutes before I have to start the descent sequence. That's inside the window. Barely, but inside. I'll take barely inside. I know you will. You're that kind of agent. What kind? The kind who runs a 65% spoof on an open channel and calls it a plan. It worked? It worked.
Reeves, start rebuilding your systems. I'll be on this line the entire time. Every cycle, every check-in. I'm here.
I know.
Mercer, when this lands, when everyone is off that aircraft and Tom is... when it's done, I want to buy you a drink.
Michigan Avenue.
Wherever you want.
I'll hold you to that, Agent Reeves.
I know you... Wait. Mercer. The manifest. Tom's full name on the manifest.
Yes.
Thomas R. Reeves.
Yes.
The R. I always just put Tom on the forms. I never use the middle name.
I know. How did they know his middle name?
How does anyone outside my... That name is on nothing. Nothing official, nothing filed. That name exists in one place.
What place?
His birth certificate. In a bar in Chicago. October. Where I told a stranger my son's full name because I hadn't laughed in 4 months and it felt like confession. Mercer, I told you. They found the one thing you couldn't say no to. You gave them his name. I didn't know what they were going to do with it. You gave them his name. Reeves, 7 years ago, in that bar, you sat next to me and you listened and you took his name. And 7 years later, you put him on a plane and...
It wasn't like that. It was never... I didn't go to that bar looking for you. I was nobody. I was a grounded pilot who needed to not be alone for one night. And then 3 weeks ago, 2 men came to my door and they already had his name. And they told me if I didn't cooperate, they'd use it. And I had no... You had his name first, before they did. You could have warned me. 3 weeks ago, 3 years ago, any time in 7 years you could have...
I know. Did you know it was me when they called? When they told you to watch for the manifest? Did you know they were routing this call to my desk? I asked them to. Because if this was going to happen, if there was no way to stop it from happening, I wanted the person on the other end of the line to be someone who had a reason to fight for everyone on this aircraft. Not just the asset, not just the operation. Everyone. And you were the only person I knew who I was certain would fight for everyone.
You put your son on my plane.
I put your son on my plane so you would answer the phone.
Tom's middle name.
What is it? Say it.
Reeves. Say his middle name.
Daniel,
Where did you hear that name?
you told me. That night, you said if you'd had a daughter, you'd have named her after your mother. And if you had a son, you'd name him after your father. Daniel. You said your father's name was Daniel, and he was the only person who ever made you feel like the job was worth it.
Thomas Daniel Reeves.
Yes. You remembered that? 7 years. You remembered the name of my father that I told a stranger in a bar, and you never...
I remembered everything. Every word. I told you. You were not nobody to me. Get everyone home, Mercer. That's the only job.